We work hard as physicians to take care of the health and well-being of our patients. But when it comes to our money, do we have the same condition of care? Probably not. Let's change that together. Welcome to the Financial Freedom for Physicians podcast, where we'll fight and advocate for your financial literacy. As always, I'm your host, Dr. Christopher Liu. Thanks for being here. Let's jump into the show. Hey guys, I want to welcome you guys to the Financial Freedom for Physicians podcast. We've got a great episode this week. Before we begin, please hit the subscribe button as well as the notifications bell, and be sure to like, comment, and share if you like this episode, and we'll get into this week's sponsor and show. This week's episode is sponsored by CityVest. CityVest has quickly become the most popular and best way for doctors to invest in top-performing real estate private equity funds that are usually reserved for institutional investors. This unique access to investing in these institutional funds is available for the first time ever through CityVest's easy and secure online investment platform. CityVest does the hard work of conducting due diligence and vetting the investments. They even get a third-party due diligence report that is posted on their website. As a result of aggregating a several million-dollar investment amount into their access funds, CityVest gains access to investing in the institutional investment and is able to negotiate better investment terms such as a 12% preferred return. You can check them out at cityvest.com or go to the link in the show notes below. Now on to the show. Before we begin today's content, here is a quick disclaimer. The information and material presented here is for informational purposes only and should not be construed as investment advice. The content is not a recommendation to buy or to sell. Some of the content may be for accredited investors only or may be sponsored posts. Every investment carries risks. Results have not been verified, so carefully weigh those risks against your investment goals and objectives and see if acting on the information matches with your investment thesis. Do your due diligence prior to investing, and as always, do not invest more than you can afford to lose. So welcome everybody to this week's podcast episode for the Financial Freedom for Physicians podcast, and I'm your host, Dr. Christopher Liu. And as usual, we talk about 4 different types of freedom: financial, time, location, emotional freedom. And I try to bring guests that are doing things on the cutting edge, helping others and making an impact. So today we have Nicky Billou, and he's a businessman, he's an entrepreneur, and we're going to talk all about financial freedom, finances, and we'll go from there. So Nicky, welcome.
Christopher, thanks for having me on the show, man. I'm really excited to be here.
Yeah, same here. I know I looked at I know we connected through Podmatch, and it's going to be a great conversation. So tell the listeners, all about you, all about your journey, and we'll get started.
Absolutely. Well, I'm an immigrant to the West from Iran. I'm a Christian from Iran. When the Islamic Revolution happened back in 78, 79, my late great father, God rest his soul, decided that it would be a wise idea to get his Christian family out of the country. There was a lot of overt prejudice against Christians and ethnic minorities going on at that time. And we came to the West, and I've just become so grateful, Christopher, to be able to live in a free society where your religion, your ethnic background really wasn't taken against you, not the way it was back home. And my father is the greatest man I've ever known. He was an entrepreneur, and his proudest boast to me was, "Son, did you know that we fed 51 families this week? Ours and the 50 employees that worked for him." He was a proud man who raised himself up from nothing, and he felt that entrepreneurship was the backbone of a functioning society. And for myself, I wanted to be like my dad. I believe all entrepreneurs like him are society's greatest heroes. They're the ones with the courage to dream, to make big things happen. Now, my dad, interestingly enough, he's someone who spent most of his career equipping hospitals, equipping university medical facilities and laboratories and things like that. And my mom was an ER nurse for 30 years. So I have just a huge connection, both on the entrepreneurial side as well as on the medical and wellness side to your audience. And that's why I'm super excited to be here with you today, Christopher.
Yeah, that's an amazing story. And, we follow similar journeys because, my parents were, first generation immigrants, came here in the 70s. And, most of my colleagues, they came from, other places outside of the United States. So it's just a testament to the work ethic, the drive, the hunger, the ambition. So let's talk about why is freedom important and why does free enterprise matter?
Well, Christopher, if you're in business, without freedom, you're not able to do what you need to do in order to serve the people you're here to serve. And free enterprise really is about voluntary exchange. That's the beauty of capitalism. And socialism, they've just done a really good job of branding themselves as being for the people. But socialism really is all about putting controls on people, not allowing them to do whatever they want to do, not allowing them to enter into voluntary agreements with one another, and having an outside entity, in this case, oppressive government, tell you what you can and can't do. So without freedom, there really is no opportunity to make the best things in life in terms of your vision for the kind of life you want to lead come alive. So to me, capitalism and freedom are the central tenets of a well-functioning society. And it's what allows us here in the West to create the kind of life that we dream of for ourselves and for our families.
Yeah. Yeah. It's, it reminds me of the current times we're living in and, the frustrations and the inconveniences that we experience, are nothing compared to, there are people's countries getting invaded and people losing their homes and livelihood and, not having food. So, it reminds me just, how great we have it here.
Yes.
Yeah, I know you wrote the book. It's an international best-selling book called Finish Line Thinking, How to Think and Win Like a Champion, and also other. So tell us more about the books, and then we'll go into more questions from there.
Absolutely. Well, look, I wrote Finish Line Thinking because I really wanted to explore for myself, how is it that champion performers perform and win, right? Because I didn't understand it. And to me, those champion performers, really what I found was the way that they were able to win and other people, who finished second, third, or fourth were not able to win was really all based on their mindset. They had a mindset of a winner. And I call that mindset finish line thinking. So a champion performer, be they in athletics, be they in business, is someone who has the mindset of a finish line thinker. They think with the end in mind. They think about ways to create victory. And in my book, I identify 13 principles of how to think and win like a champion. And interestingly enough, I've had quite a few people in the wellness field who've been clients of ours that have taken advantage of some of the principles we taught them in Here to Win. So as an example, we had a naturopathic doctor, solo practice this lady has, and she went from, working on her own and having a nice 6-figure income. And now she's approaching a nice 7-figure income, still on her own. And that only became possible for her by engaging in some of the tenets of finish line thinking.
Yeah. I love that. Now I know we'll talk about, you're getting into, I know you have a mastermind and looks like you do a lot of coaching and educational programs. So we'll talk about that in a little bit later. I came across this term, in your material. Is Charlotte, what is a charlatan marketer and how can you avoid him or her?
So Charlatan Marketer is someone who's really, really good at pushing your emotional buttons. And we all have an emotional button about something. There's always an itch we want to scratch, a pain point. And a charlatan marketer is really good at identifying those and pushing those emotional buttons to get you to buy from them. But they're not really good at delivering the result that they promise you. So charlatan marketers sometimes are, overtly malicious in that they never really intended for you to get a result. But sometimes they're not overtly malicious. they're just incompetent. They don't know any better. Either way, it's not good for you to be working with charlatan marketer, because that charlatan marketer is somebody who's going to take what you're trying to create out there in the world, and they're going to have you lose hope in the fact that it's still possible for you, because their methodologies either don't work, like they never worked, and they're going to blame you even though it's their methodology that's the problem, or they just don't know what they're doing and still their methodology doesn't work. But they didn't know that it didn't work. They thought it was going to work, but it actually didn't work. Either way, you're left there having paid a lot of money to do something and not being able to take advantage of the fact that you put all that money and time in to get a result, to get an outcome. And that's why charlatan marketers are so dangerous, because they take away hope. They don't deliver the goods, so you don't get the success that you're looking for. And they tar people in the industry like myself and my colleagues who are actually, sincere and have good methodologies with the same brush. And unfortunately, we have to overcome the stigma that these charlatan marketers have placed upon the industry as a whole.
Yeah, that's so what are, that's interesting. And there's a lot of quote gurus and people with millions of followers, but that's interesting. How can you usually spot them? Do you usually is it anything in their material or in their marketing, or is it just some like red flags?
Well, the material and their marketing is pretty good in terms of getting you to go, yeah, I should do this, and I should buy from them. But what I would watch for is what is it that they say they're going to do to help you solve their problem. So there's folks out there right now who are coming and saying, hey, come and work with me. I'll get you on LinkedIn. I'll get you 7 figures in business a month. Well, LinkedIn is a great place for you to put yourself out there, but it's essentially a really powerful online resume. Most people go on to LinkedIn for job seeking and finding people for job candidates. Not a whole ton of people go on to LinkedIn to hire somebody to work with them, like a coach or like a consultant or something like that. They just don't. They go on LinkedIn to just check out your credentials. So LinkedIn isn't the greatest way for you to go out there and get yourself a bunch of clients. Yet there's a gazillion gurus that are promising you to get you clients on LinkedIn, and they approach you on LinkedIn and go, "Oh my God, listen, I just want to meet you." And then you see in their profile, I help people make $50,000 a month or more from going on LinkedIn. They're like, yeah, no, you don't just want to meet me. You want to try to pitch me on your darn program. So thanks, but no thanks. You know what I mean? So that's one way. Another way is, a lot of people have bought programs from them, and they might even say good things about them. But when you dig into, well, what kind of results did you get? Well, they didn't get much of a result. And if someone's not able to get you a result, get you an outcome, or if someone's pitching you something that doesn't really work, yeah, that's a red flag right there.
We hope you don't mind this brief interruption from one of our affiliates. Today's affiliate is studentloanadvice.com. Studentloanadvice.com is a company powered by the White Coat Investor that specializes in helping professional students such as doctors, dentists, and other healthcare professionals navigate the complex and oftentimes confusing student loan landscape. They offer a consultation as well as services to help you save money when consolidating and paying back your student loans through their different options. You can go to their website, studentloanadvice.com/FFFP. That's again, studentloanadvice.com/FFFP to find out more, get signed up on their email list, or schedule a call with Andrew Paulson. Now back to our show. Let's shift gears now, and you talk about most people living in their comfort zone. So, and why did I've always been fascinated with just the top 0.1%, 1%, and living their life on their own terms and creating impact. And so, why do the majority of people they it's kind of like they're living in zombie modes, and why do they do that, and how do you get them out of it?
Look, we live in a time where being distracted's easy. There's social media, there's Netflix marathons. Heck, I love Netflix marathons myself. I'm watching The Last Kingdom myself right now, and I watched several episodes in a row. And that's fine to do that, but if you do that to the exclusion of everything else, it's just going to rob you of your initiative.
So and usually, so when they do that, is it basically, is it because of fear, or is it just procrastination, or just every year they have people, their New Year's resolutions, and usually 2 weeks into it, then pretty much everybody's back to their same habits. So what are some underlying reasons why this happens?
Well, brother, there is fear for sure. Everybody has some version of I'm not good enough going on. And when they're faced with that head on, they want to distract themselves, right? So I think that's important for you to understand. And that's important for you to work with. You know what I'm saying, Christopher, that there's a part of you that doesn't believe you're good enough. And unless you face that head on, that part of you is going to sabotage you in oh so many ways, including getting you to distract yourself and lay on the couch rather than take action. But another part of it is, honestly, we're just living in an age where there's so many distractions. It's hard not to get distracted by them. And you need to develop some discipline, I think, if you're going to overcome all that.
Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, we've had a fair interesting conversation, and now let's transition into income gen. Like a lot of the listeners are interested in making more money, increasing their income, improving their lifestyle. So what are some easy ways, simple ways that people can start adding adding extra passive income to their income thus far this year?
Passive income? Well, like unless you're investing in something that, gives you dividends or payouts, that's typically pretty darn difficult, right? But I can tell you, like, people listening to the show, if they're physicians or the medical field, the wellness field, there's all kinds of things you can do to increase your clinical practice. I work with my lovely better half. Her name's Teresa Dugwell. She has a program called $1 Million Clinic Program, which is all about showing physicians and other wellness practitioners like chiropractors, naturopaths, dentists, etc., how to grow their practice to a 7-figure practice, or how to even add 7 figures to the practice. And there's a whole ton of things you can do there, Christopher. So number one is you want to create a powerful personal brand for yourself. You don't want to be stuck in the sea of sameness, right? Here's the distinction between an expert and a branded thought leader. So an expert is someone who knows something, but there's a million experts out there. Experts are a dime a dozen, but a branded thought leader is someone who knows something, but is also known for knowing something. So they stand out, right? Branded thought leaders are rare and valuable. So you want to become a branded thought leader. That's one of the things we help people do. We help them be known for, what their expertise is all about. So, for example, this naturopathic doctor that we have worked with, she was just a naturopathic doctor who did all the things naturopathic doctors do. But now she's really focusing on working with professional women over the age of 35 who don't feel young and beautiful and sexy anymore. And she kind of says, I'm going to help you get your sexy back. Then she also works with CEOs. And these are folks who don't have a lot of time and they're burning the candle at both ends. And she's all about helping them be able to generate peak level performance by optimizing their health and wellness. That's helped her tenfold her business over a 3-year period. That's the sort of thing that I think people ought to be doing, is establishing themselves as a branded thought leader and figuring out what are some really great practices that they can put forward inside of what they do in their own clinical practice to help their clinical practice grow. One of the things, Christopher, that a lot of people don't do is they don't pay attention to making sure that their front desk is optimized, that they got the right person in that role and they've got really great systems. If you don't have the right person at a front desk situation, you're in big trouble, because if they're not dealing with your patients well, those patients may not want to come back. So last year, I've been visiting this dentist for 40 years, and the person at their front desk is a surly person. And, I was in the clinic, and I didn't have a mask on, and someone else, had a mask on, and they got mad at me and they started yelling at me and they're going, "Oh, you don't have your mask on. You need to put your mask on." And they weren't kind or nice or gentle about it. They were just a real jerk about it. So I've been with this dentist for 40 years. I'm going somewhere else. That sort of thing happens all the time on a front desk point of view. And if your front desk isn't trained to book people to come back in immediately or make calls and do it in a powerful, gentle way, you got big problems, brother.
Yeah. And so I know, we're approaching time here, and I know you, through your materials and your education, you talk about going narrow, niching down, and then, positioning oneself as brand and thought leader, your ideal client. So tell us about the work that you do. I know a lot of people listening to this podcast are interested in, visiting your website, learning more about you, and possibly working with you.
Yeah, absolutely. Look, so my website is eCircleacademy.com, and the best way to work with me is just go to a button there that says book a success call, or just go to eCircleacademy.com/appointment. Find me anywhere on social media, and find the various podcasts I'm on, including the one that I host myself. It's a great way to get in touch with me.
That's a fantastic, inspiring, and to a fantastic conversation. So folks, you have it. Nicky Billou, he has interviewed notables such as astronauts. He's interviewed Barbara Corcoran, John Maxwell, Jack Canfield. So thanks so much. We'll put all the links to the resources that you mentioned in the show notes for the guest, and we hope to have you back in the future.
It'd be an honor to come back, Christopher. Thank you so much.
What a fantastic show. I hope you enjoyed our very special guest. Just remember, as a shout out to our this week's sponsor, CityVest.com. CityVest gives you access to the best real estate private equity funds with enhanced investment terms, verified due diligence, and lower risk. You can check them out at cityvest.com or click on the link in the show notes below to hear about their upcoming investment offerings. If you enjoyed that episode, don't forget, that's just the free content. We also have paid premium content subscription with better guests, information, updates, and discussions that can't be accessed anywhere else. You can subscribe to our premium content by clicking on the link in the show notes below to subscribe. Just a quick note, members who sign up for the bottom floor price introductory the first year will be grandfathered into that price for life. I expect the monthly subscription amount to increase quickly next year and the year after, so don't delay. I'm excited that you made it for another episode. You are truly the best. If you've been following the show for a while, you know that my passion is to bring you the education you need to find your path to financial freedom. Please come back week after week for new content, new resources, and great guests. Until then, if you haven't already, please be sure to check out the website, www.drchrislewmdphd.com for more support. I'll see you next week.